Today we're going to dive a bit deeper into what happens when the grip between your tires and the road gets a little confused. Let's talk about understeer and oversteer. Now, you may have heard these terms in racing movies or video games, but they are very real concepts that every driver should understand because they're your car's way of communicating its limits and, more importantly, its overall health. So let's start with understeer. Simply put, understeer is when your car doesn't turn as much as you've told it to. You turn the steering wheel, but the car continues to travel in a wider arc than you intended. The logical analogy I use for this is plowing. The front wheels have lost their grip, and the car's nose plows straight ahead. This most commonly happens when you enter a corner too fast. The front tires lose traction, and the result, based on the physics of momentum, is that the car wants to continue in a straight line. But understeer is not just a sign of too much speed. It's also a powerful signal about your vehicle. A car that is prone to understeer might be telling you that its front tires are worn out, underinflated, or that a front suspension component is failing. From a logical standpoint, it's a relatively predictable and safer condition because the car's natural tendency is to slow down and find its grip. When this occurs, the natural reaction of the driver is to simply ease off the gas and unwind the steering a bit to allow the front tires to regain traction. Not very complicated. Now, let's talk about oversteer. If understeer is about the front end, oversteer is about the back. This is when your car turns more than you've asked it to. The rear wheels lose their grip and the tail end of the car steps out, causing the car to spin out or fishtail. The reason for this is often a sudden shift in weight, which causes the rear tires to lose its traction. This might happen with a sudden, aggressive acceleration mid-corner or an abrupt steering input. When this occurs, the solution for oversteer is counterintuitive and a bit more difficult for most drivers. So you have to turn the steering wheel into the skid, towards the direction the tail is moving. Now, this is not something that is natural for everyday drivers. In fact, mastering these maneuvers requires practice. While understeer is a car pushing wide, oversteer is a car spinning around its axis. So why are we talking about this on a podcast about automotive maintenance? It's because understeer and oversteer are not just driving phenomena. They are logical diagnostic symptoms. And understanding them is the key to understanding a common source of confusion when considering tire rotations and tire replacement recommendations. So you may have thought in the past, my rear tires still have some tread life remaining. So why would a shop tell me I need to replace all four? Or that I need to rotate the better tread to the rear axle when my car is a front-wheel drive? Now, this is where the logic comes in. A driver who only measures tread depth might think they can just get by with two new tires in the front. But a technician who understands these dynamics knows the consequences. If you put two brand new deep tread tires on the front and leave the two worn, shallow tread tires on the rear, you have a new and dangerous problem. The front end now has significantly more grip than the rear. This creates an imbalance that can make the car more prone to oversteer, especially on a wet or slippery road. Instead of pushing wide in a predictable manner, the back of the car could suddenly step out, which is a much more difficult and less intuitive situation to correct. This is why a technician's recommendation to rotate tires, even if the front tires have better tread, or to replace all four at once, isn't an upsell. It's a logical, safety-based recommendation. By ensuring all four tires have similar tread depths, you maintain the designed handling characteristics of the vehicle and minimize the risk of a dangerous handling imbalance. So, pro tip here. The next time a repair shop presents one of the scenarios just mentioned, simply ask them to explain the reasons why. Compare their reasons with the knowledge you just learned. Listen, in the real world, sometimes circumstances prevent us from making the correct decisions every time, but all is not lost because now you are armed with knowledge and understanding. Understanding the current condition of your vehicle and knowing what to expect is invaluable and should change the way you operate the vehicle until you're able to bring it into optimal condition. The ultimate lesson here is this. Your car is always communicating with you. Understanding the basic principles of understeer and oversteer empowers you to listen to those signals. It helps you recognize your car's limits and, more importantly, tells you when it's time to check for potential maintenance issues and whether to trust the recommendations from your technician. I'm Troy Binder, and this has been GearCast.